Hi everyone, welcome to another great edition of our And Free sessions where we meet with somebody really exceptional in the neurodivergent community, and tonight is no exception. We are joined by Robert Senior, who is a videographer. He's a filmmaker, but I'll introduce him in a little while because first of all, as always, we just want to say a big hello to you from the coalition and kind of do a round robin of who the coalition members are. So as always, my name is Donna and I am your host for these sessions, but I'm not on my own. I'm always joined by some great friends across our neurodivergent community. So AND is the Adult Network Neurodiversity and Dyslexia. And as I said, we are a coalition of like-minded organisations that join together to provide this free, safe space for our adult community. So who is in the coalition family? We are made up of Neurobox, and I'm part of the Neurobox team as well. We are made up of Succeed with Dyslexia, and more of the details of these organisations a bit later, guys. But we are also made up of the wonderful Adult Dyslexia Centre, and those of you who listen regularly will know that we're often joined by Flohr MBE, and she is the manager there at the ADC. Hi, Sue.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Well, thanks. Do you want me to say a bit about us?
Yeah, please do. We always love to hear about your adventures.
Thank you. We are the one-stop shop for dyslexic adults and parents of dyslexics as well. And we offer a lot of free services like a free helpline, a confidential, safe place to go to with any concerns on the phone or by email, self-support groups as well, face-to-face and online. And we do assessments and workplace needs assessments, anything. We're just there for dyslexic adults or anyone who's interested in dyslexia. Thank you, Donna.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sue, and thank you for all the work you do over there. And you work across the UK, aren't you? I know you're
Yeah, we
based
do.
in
We
a
started off
particular
very
part.
locally, but we're open to anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump then, if you're looking at the logos and following me as we go, I'm going to jump to the Dyslexia Association, which is right there at the bottom of our kind of wonderful lineup, because we've got the CEO with us this evening. Again, a lot of you will know, if you're a regular listener, that Kay Carter often joins us. Hi, Kay, tell us about what you guys do in Nottingham and beyond.
Hi, Donna. Yeah, well, we really similar to what Sue does as well, and I think that's what makes us unique, doesn't it, in terms of the coalition, in that we're all sort of working and beavering away on in our various different areas, but we also work UK wide, and we all need to work UK wide, don't we? Because there's so many people out there that we need to support. And like Sue, we do diagnostics, screenings. We work with obviously our dyslexic community, as well as we're working a lot on dyscalculia as well at the moment. And we do support in the workplace as well. We're based in Nottingham, but again, as I said, we're UK wide as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Kay. Back to our lineup then. We've also got here Hampshire Dyslexia Association, and a lot of you will know that we're often joined by Sue McKenna, who's the chair there. She's not with us this evening, but again, very similar to what Sue and Kay have shared, the great work that happens over in Hampshire. They did a festival last year over in the Isle of Wight, which was brilliant. I think they're looking again at doing that. So again, they support education, schools, workplace, individuals, especially if you're in that part of the world. Hampshire, the Isle of Wight, they are there to support, and we will be sharing their helpline details at the end. We've also got in our coalition family, Yorkshire Rose Dyslexia Association, great part of the world. Again, those of you who've listened before, sometimes we're joined by their chair, Pat Payne, and Pat often talks about, again, the great work that happens in Yorkshire with Helpline. They do touch type sessions for youngsters as well. And Pat specifically asked me this evening to share with you, they have a festival coming up on the 5th of July in Yorkshire. If you're in that part of the world, I can highly recommend it. I was there last year. It was brilliant. If you go to the Yorkshire Rose Dyslexia Association website, so if you Google that, you will find out more and be able to book your place. It's a brilliant chance to meet experts. They've got kind of an expo part of it where you can meet, you know, folks who provide services and sell products and so on, all in the neurodivergent space. It's brilliant, a great day out. And last but certainly not least, we've got Helen Arkell Dyslexia Charity, and they do a lot of work nationally as a leading charity within the dyslexia world. They don't have a helpline as such, but they are there to provide information. They've got a great YouTube channel. They provide assessments, training, very focused on supporting parents and teachers, and essentially a lot of work around supporting young learners. They also do lots of work supporting the criminal justice system and those who are looking to turn their lives around. There's lots of support that they provide to that community as well. So please do, again, check out their work. We have been promised that we will have somebody from HADC in the not too distant future as one of our expert guests. So something to really look forward to. But on to tonight then. This is one to look forward to as well, because it's a brilliant session with, as I said, Robert Senior. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Donna, are you okay?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. I hope
Good.
you are, and I'm really excited to get into this. Let me give you an introduction, then we'll start chatting, Rob. So, as I said, you're a videographer and you've created RS Rob Star Videography. So you're the founder, and I love this tagline that you have. You're friendly, neurodivergent filmmaker, which is brilliant. What a great explanation.
Thank you.
So, Rob, you've very kindly put together some wonderful slides, actually very, very creative, and I would expect no less from you, bearing in mind what your profession is. So
Thanks.
can you start us off? We're looking at the slide that you introducing yourself around.
Yes.
So over to you, Rob. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, right. Okay. So, like Donna says, I am Rob, your friendly neurodivergent filmmaker, and my videography business is called RS Rob Star Videography, and I've made like fun, feel good films for a range of charities, local businesses, community events. Some career highlights that I've been lucky enough to work on have been including some neurodiversity campaigns for the ADHD Foundation and Staffordshire County Council, which is kind of where I'm from. But also I've done some brief work with BBC Sport as well, and also Bear Grylls Adventure, which has unfortunately closed down since I made some short form content for them, but it was still a really fun experience and thing working with them. I'm autistic, so hence the neurodiversity inside me. I'm autistic. I was diagnosed very, very young, really. I was kind of lucky enough to be diagnosed like very young, really, and things like that. However, there wasn't really a lot of awareness around autism, but especially like back when I was like young. So I think I was very lucky to get a diagnosis when I did. Yeah, so I'm a freelance videographer, video editor, and content creator, like I say. I'm from Stafford, like little town in the middle of the country. It's Staffordshire. And some of my hobbies and special interests include outside of videography. I love my Disney movies. I love movies in general, but especially Disney movies. I love being active. I love going to the gym. I love swimming. I love walking. I love traveling. More on that later. I love going to the theatre. Love my gaming, and of course, I love like making content on social media. So, for example, like TikTok, Instagram, etc., YouTube. And I also love a good coffee date as well, sort of thing. So, you know, I'm always up for going out for a coffee and things like that, or meeting up for a coffee with people, with friends, family. They're my preferred method of meeting like professional clients, colleagues, people to network with as well, sort of thing. So yeah, and yeah, that's a picture of me when I did my brief stint at BBC Sport as well, like at Media City, which was yeah, definitely a career highlight of mine and things like that. So that's a little bit about myself. Yeah.
Rob, it's a great overview of who you are, and your bubbly personality just literally comes through the screen. It's such a pleasure to have met you and get to chat with you in this way.
Thanks.
Thank you, and
No
thank you
problem.
for your honesty around neurodiversity. We know that a lot of our listeners, when they like to hear our experts, they like to hear about somebody's journey. And you're self-employed, you know, you're the founder of RS Rob Star Videography. How do you, may I ask, how do you kind of almost, you know, support yourself when you're self-employed, when you're neurodivergent, if that makes any kind of sense. Because a lot of folks are often within an organisation and hopefully they're getting the support they need. How do you kind of make sure that you're almost supporting yourself when essentially you work a lot, you know, independently in that way?
Yeah, I think it's something I've definitely like learned over time, to be honest with you. I think something that I have definitely learned how to do to support myself is sort of, I think something I'm very like self-critical sometimes and hard on myself, and sometimes when things aren't going well, like sometimes I'll be like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I'll get quite stressed out and thinking, you know, am I doing enough? Am I doing the right things? But at the same time, I think I've learned to kind of give myself breaks when needed. So say, for example, like in preparation for tonight, I did take a bit of time out this afternoon just so I've got the energy to do this presentation and things like that. I think it's just sort of being mindful of, you know, sort of your energy, I think, really, and things like that, like, and yeah, and making sure that, you know, you're not burning yourself out too much and things like that. So, and you do have that kind of healthy work-life balance, not overextending yourself, but also, you know, doing like little bits every day, just doing what you can, because energy levels can differ and things like that for whatever reason. You know, it might be like lack of sleep, or you know, might be you know, anxiety levels are higher some days than others. So yeah, I think it's just being mindful of those energy levels, and also just kind of treating myself sometimes, really, and things like that when I can. Yeah,
Which comes, I guess, with your hobbies, to make sure that you're sustaining your own well-being, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like you say, you love going for a coffee or your Disney movies, and I can see there that you've got your swimming and going to the gym and walking. So I suppose it's that balance, isn't it? How did you get that insight about yourself? Did it come almost just from, I guess, as you get older and you just know how to bring the best out of yourself?
I think it's just, again, I think it's just like learning over time. I mean, a couple of years ago, I did have a pretty horrible experience where, like, I went through quite a long time without really getting any work, unfortunately, and things like that. It wasn't really out of lack of trying, but I think it was that I was trying very desperately hard, and I think I ended up burning myself out and having to like break down and then I would have to and then I kind of put myself through therapy again and things like that, and that really helped give me some like good coping strategies as well, sort of thing. So yeah, like definitely recommend therapy, and you know, so yeah, and I think from that, you know, I think, you know, my kind of confidence, my self-love definitely has improved since then and whatnot, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think also just having a good support system around me as well really helps. Like, I'm, you know, my parents, my family are like really supportive, and you know, it's great that I've got them caring about me, and again, got some really good mentors around me at the moment and things like that. I'm very grateful for them as well, and people who are genuinely rooting for me, and I can tell that they're genuinely rooting for me as well, which is great, and things like that. So I owe a lot to them.
Yeah. And we both figured out, talking about self-love, that we've both got love written on our t-shirts this evening.
Yes, we do. Yes, yeah. Like, we didn't plan this at all.
Total fluke.
We didn't plan this at all, but yeah, like, yeah, I thought that was kind of amazing, the synchronicities, and I was like, oh my goodness, you know, kind of thing is great, you know, like, I must have like psychically or been telekinetically like kind of figured that out. Yeah, sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And what a great message for this evening, because your work just exudes love and care beyond you as a person. You're an absolute wonder, Rob. So let's get into it, because we've got a lot to share. Now, I'm moving on to the next slide, and this is where I get nervous, because we've got a techie thing to do.
Yeah,
because you're going to share some of the great work that you've done from, is it called your video reel?
Yeah, so it's like my highlight reel sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
perfect. Thank you. So I'll stop sharing the slides. We'll come back to those, folks. But Rob is going to share his screen in a minute to show us some of his great work, because there's no better way, I suppose, Rob, to show us what a videographer does and your talents than actually showing us, so we get to see it. So have a go with the tech. Hopefully it's going to work.
Okay, wish me luck. Okay, here we go. Right, so can I share my screen now, or?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay, perfect. Here we go then. Let's go. Okay, here we go. Let's check. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yay! Right, okay, brilliant. Okay, so this is my website. Okay, so and I'm just going to share a quick highlight reel. It's just like 9-second highlight reel. Okay, here we go. Enjoy. Here we go. Yeah, like normally I'll have sound play. Oh, right, I need to press play. How about that? Right, okay. Okay, here we go. This is my highlight reel.
We may as well have a laugh, we may as well have a bit of fun. Is everybody up for that?
Yeah!
People like me, like people like you. And if people like me can like people like you, then people we all must agree that we all just want to be free. Turn your weaknesses into your strengths. You don't need to go to long lengths. Wear my shoes for a day and you'll see what it's like for people like me.
All right then, that's a bit about what I do, really, and things like that.
Lovely. I could see I think it just popped up briefly. There's almost different categories of kind of ways that you work with folks. Obviously something quite corporate. Thank you for popping that up again. And obviously we saw some wonderful weddings, and then we saw those umbrellas from the ADHD Foundation.
Yes.
So talk me through from this list. Yeah, talk me through from the list about the types of things that you do at RS Rob Star.
Okay. So what I do is like it says, creating fun, feel good films for all these different categories. So work with businesses, charities, workshops, film conferences, help with marketing tools. I love filming events. I love filming like tourism and travel videos and things like that. Again, more on that later. And most of these are really for like web and social media purposes and things like that to help people just kind of like spread the messages that they want to spread and things like that, and share the stories they want to share, really, and things like that with people, and connect with people, and hopefully boost their presence, boost like their clientele and things like that. So yeah, and sometimes it can just be to celebrate like a momentous occasion or a celebration, because I do believe that every like achievement deserves to be celebrated and things like that, really, and just be like shouted from the rooftops and things like that. So yeah, so that's a little bit about what I do and things. So
yeah, I love it. Thank you for sharing.
That's all right.
When did you realise that you had a real talent for this, that you loved videography, and actually that you were really good at it as well?
Gosh. So I think I kind of ended up like developing a passion from it like towards the end of my time at university. My final project was we could choose what we did and things like that, and what I really want to do is use my creative abilities to help other people. And so what I wanted to do was to kind of make video tutorials of things that I had learned during my time at university and at college and things like that, which was mainly based around 3D modeling. I don't really want to do 3D modeling and things like that, or carry it further past uni, really, to be honest with you. But I just really enjoyed like the video editing process, making that video and things like that, and hoping that does help other people. And then I ended up at the time I ended up watching a few people on YouTube that I felt really inspired by, and all they were really doing was just kind of just sharing their stories, and I really identified with that, like sharing their stories in a fun, creative way. And then I just kind of was like, actually, if they can do this, so can I, sort of thing. So I was a bit like, so then I just started, you know, creating content and things like that, making YouTube videos and things like that, talking about, you know, my autism, some of my special interests and things like that, you know, some video games I really liked and things like that, some Disney movies I really liked. So yeah, and then I think I just ended up falling over it that way. And I was like, just thinking, you know, I'd just love to make this into like something I could do for like work and things as well. So, you know, it took a few years, you know, did a bit of like practice, early video sessions and things like that, you know, just to build up a bit of a portfolio. And then I think through a business enterprise program run by the Princess Trust, I ended up setting up RS Rob Star Videography, really, which was actually my old YouTube name, but then I had to change my YouTube name because I launched my business name as RS Rob Star Videography. So now, yeah, my YouTube name, like for my personal YouTube videos, is RS Rob Senior now, sort of thing, you know.
Okay, so if folks want to go and have a look at that, where you're talking about almost vlogging, I guess.
Yes,
that's where they can find you. So please share that again, Rob, just in case for people who are thinking, yeah, I want to check that out. So your YouTube channel is?
So it's RS Rob Senior.
Rob Senior. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Rob.
No, that's right.
And then we've got RS Rob Star Videography, which is your business. But business with a heart. Yeah, business with a heart.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of folks nowadays who talk about how, whatever their chosen career is, how their neurodivergency kind of makes them almost better at it, whatever it might be. And, you know, saying, hey, I'm really good at this, and I think this is because I have ADHD or autism or dyslexia. Do you feel that your autism gives you insights into movie making that maybe, you know, people who aren't part of that community maybe don't necessarily have some of those gifts? What's your thinking about the alignment in that way?
I think it's kind of like, I think we have a very unique approach to the way we work and things like that and whatnot. And I think for me, I end up putting a lot of energy, pretty much all my energy, into ensuring I do a good job and creating a good, positive like relationship with any clients I'm working with, but also just sort of like a unique eye for detail sort of thing. So for example, you know, I'm very much kind of keen into like framing shots in the right way and things like that. I'm always like keen to like learn different editing techniques and things like that and whatnot, and how to implement that into my work, and also just kind of getting like a unique style and, you know, just a keen eye for detail and things like that as well. I think that's how my autism really affects like the way I work and things like that in a positive way.
Yes, it's really interesting to hear you speak like that, because I think it gives great insights and hopefully inspiration for others who are thinking about, you know, the direction that they want to go in to really connect with the things that they're really good at. Now, something else that you and I have got in common, beyond the fact that we both like t-shirts with love written on, is the fact that we love Japan. I have not been yet, but you have. So the slide I'm looking at, Rob, is the one entitled My Dream Holiday. So tell us more.
Okay, so like, I mean, it was literally like 2 months ago, but I'm still buzzing about it now and things like that. So over time, and it's definitely thanks, a lot of it is, I'm very grateful to my videography business and things like that, particularly over the past year or so. I ended up like booking a holiday to Japan, and it was a holiday of a lifetime. And yes, I think I developed like the confidence and the self-love to do that and things like that. And I think one thing that really drew me to go to Japan was that many of my special interests, you know, the gaming, a lot of video games are made in Japan, and of course Japan has a Disneyland there and things like that. And I just really wanted to just experience that kind of culture and things like that. And I think that what I loved is that even though Japan is very much kind of like a modern place, I felt it still keeps some of the traditional buildings, some of the traditional styles, and it still has like their own unique style. So for example, when I went to Tokyo Disneyland, it still felt like Disney, but it was kind of like Japan version of it, sort of thing. They still kept it true to like, you know, the Japanese way and things, Japanese culture. And I just call it really one of the most empowering things I've ever done and things like that. And when I came back and things like that from Japan, it just made me feel like I could like accomplish anything and whatnot. This photo was here, like it was like the first night I was in Japan, and we went up Tokyo Tower. I think this was just before I went up Tokyo Tower. I was very tired, very jet lagged at this point and things like that, probably running on, I don't know, I don't think I slept on the plane. So yeah, so I think at that point I probably went like about 48 hours without any sleep. So like but like, you know, just wanted to make the most of it and things like that. Went to like a really fun video game themed cafe, and then I think I had a bit of a nap actually, for a couple of hours, like after that, and then we went up to Tokyo Tower, which, you know, and it just set off the holiday in a really good way and things like that. And yeah, I could really go on all day. And like, I went with my dad, and I'm very grateful that he went as well and things like that, because yeah, I think it was just somebody who, like, first of all, both I could support him, and I think we supported each other really and things like that. And I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much, and I don't think I would have coped as much really if Dad wasn't there and things like that. So yeah,
Great adventures to go on together, isn't it? And like I say, what a place! It's the best of everything there. So what you're going to talk us through, and I've just changed slide now, Rob, to talk about the challenges and inspirations. I mean, the inspiration is off the scale. It's a wonderful, wonderful
Yes.
country. And I'd love to hear your thoughts then as you talk through something that a lot of us think about and are impacted by, but maybe we don't hear lots of conversations about, is traveling as a neurodivergent individual. So
Yes.
guide me through these challenges and inspirations.
Yes. So even though Japan was wonderful, like there was quite a lot of challenges. Like the way that Japan do things is very different to the way that we do things here, like in this country. And I think that probably one of the things that I felt like Japan probably could definitely improve on was sort of accessibility, particularly from a neurodivergent perspective. I think that, with all due respect to Japan, I think like a lot of their disability awareness, I think, is sort of probably more on the physical side of things rather than the internal side of things. And I think from this trip, I think it just made me more than ever want to raise awareness of some of the challenges I might face as a neurodivergent person, and maybe other people might face as well. Because, for example, I remember like trying to navigate the train stations and things like that in Japan, and I was just thinking, oh my goodness, you know, I think like, I mean, I'm not dyslexic or anything like that, but I think if I was, I think I would just find it like really, really confusing and things like that. But I think even though I'd found it confusing, even and overwhelming anyway, sort of thing, but it was just mad and things like that. But I think also I just want to like just encourage and inspire more places of travel and tourism to improve the accessibility they provide for neurodivergent people and things like that, and just have a bit of a think about how that looks and things like that. I think some places get it like spot on, but I think like other places definitely could do with like having more awareness, maybe more training and things like that, and more facilities that are easily accessible for disabled and neurodivergent people. And I also want to just empower other neurodivergent people to give them a reassurance and confidence they may need to want to travel more if that's what they want and things like that. Because I feel like, you know, someone like myself who can often feel like a nervous wreck sometimes and whatnot, if I can do it, then like I can't see why other people can't and things like that, and things like that. And yeah, I think other people can definitely do, like, you know, go to the places they want to go with the right support and things like that and whatnot behind them and things like that. And you know, I think it's just sort of preparing them for as much as they possibly can be prepared for as well, and just knowing what support is actually out there.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. It's really interesting to hear you talk like this.
Mm-hmm.
I like what you said a bit as well, when you said when you've come back, you feel like you can accomplish anything. I guess some of the areas of challenge that you've had in wonderful Japan, as maybe as you've come back, you've thought, well, if I can do some of those things, yeah, I can do anything. It's give you a real sense of achievement, I guess, if that's the right word.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, like it's definitely felt like a huge lifetime ambition achieved, really, and things like that, really. So yeah, definitely very grateful for the experience and
Did you
things.
feel proud of yourself? We're talking about well-being and so on. Did
Mm.
you give yourself the kudos for navigating through it and coming out the other end still having a wonderful time?
I think, yeah, definitely, yes, of course, absolutely, yeah. Like I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, because like you say, it's not like the easiest place to navigate, and I think that's probably an area where I had to help my dad and things like that through navigation, through sort of, helping my dad like understand like the Japanese language and things like that, and what the Japanese symbols all mean and things like that, the lettering and things like that, and whatnot. Because I learned a bit of Japanese, like to be honest, I've kind of forgotten 90% of it now, but never mind. But like I learned a bit before when my dad didn't. That's one thing I kind of wish he did, but like yeah, like I did, yeah. So I was able to help and contribute in that way and things like that, and I think it's just coping with just a place that is really unlike. It's interesting. It's kind of, it did feel somewhat familiar. It did remind me of some like places and things like that. So for example, I felt like Tokyo was a lot like London in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time it felt very like different as well,
Yeah.
sort of thing,
Yeah.
and things like that. So and it was interesting. It was kind of like a place that was very sort of like, sort of, there was a lot of like different. I think what I was impressed with was like the different kind of, there was just a lot of variety around it as well, sort of thing. I think that's the word, variety, about like things on offer there and things like that. So I think that's what I was impressed with as well.
Yeah. It sounds extraordinary.
Mhm.
It's that balance, isn't it, between, like you said there, areas of challenge, but then this wonderful sense of adventure and
Mhm.
just, absolutely amazing experiences. Talk to me then, because it's, I think what I'm guessing from you, Rob, and I know we've had this chat before, is you've come away from that experience with some great insights into what we can get right for neurodivergent folks, what areas of development, like you've been talking about, raising awareness, making sure that neurodivergent folks, maybe we need to plan a bit more and so on. Talk me through then what inclusive travel means to you. That's the slide I'm looking at the moment.
Okay, yeah. So I think an area I do want to focus a lot more on in like my work and things like that, as a friendly neurodivergent filmmaker, I think I would love to make more like content on focusing more on like travel, like particularly as a neurodivergent person, how to make that more sort of inclusive for us all and things like that. And again, it's sort of to provide reassurance to neurodivergent people that, with the right preparation and support, that we can enjoy and thrive on a holiday and things like that. And I think it goes back to, sort of what my core values are, using my creative skills to help other people, and, just my kind of ambition and desire to make the world a more sort of inclusive, neurodivergent friendly place and things like that, because I think it's definitely needed. And I just feel like we all deserve to like have the same opportunities as anybody else and things like that, and to enjoy our lives to the fullest and things like that, whatever that may look like and things like that, so we can like, live our best lives really and things, and and things like that. But yeah, there are definitely like barriers and things like that can make, life, like not just traveling but just other areas of life. But we're focusing on traveling today because that's just kind of something I've just been kind of really thinking about like quite a lot recently and things like that. But yeah, so it's just kind of navigating those barriers and things like that, raising awareness to, people who might be able to kind of make changes and things like that, that these are the things that we struggle with and things that we might need help with, and please can you do like better and things like that. to these like travel companies, let me say that we can just kind of like enjoy these things in the most sort of yeah, and just the most calmest way possible. I think that's the way I would describe it.
Yeah, I think to listen to you speak in those ways is so insightful, because I think what you're asking for is care and consideration from organisations involved in travel in many different ways. You know, travel is a big idea at very small level, like you say, maybe getting on the tube in Japan and whatever, through to then in an airport. And so, you know, there's lots of different aspects. And I suppose it's making sure that the folks who are involved in those different strands of travel are aware and trying to be more inclusive in this way. With that in mind, you know, for anybody who does want to find out, okay, well, what does it mean? Talk me through. I'm looking at the slide, Rob, about autism travel challenges, and this will be news maybe to some folks who don't know a lot about this neurodifference.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I think some challenges I personally face when, like, not just going to Japan, but like, you know, when I've traveled to other places as well, sort of thing, you know. So, you know, even places in this country, so you could like say like London or whatever, or like Liverpool or things like that. But some challenges I do personally face, you know, like, you know, somewhere's like noisy and crowded and things like that, like so if there's like loads of people about and it's really loud and things like that, sometimes that can be very overwhelming and can provide a lot of sensory overload for myself and things like that. And sometimes I just kind of freeze, cry, whatever, you know, and things like that if things get too much and things like that. Like, yeah, noise cancelling headphones are a must and things with that. But also, I didn't really face this so much in Japan because they're super efficient and things like that. You know, like, you know, all the public transport was right on time and things like that, which was beautiful. But when public transport, you know, particularly in this country, you know, like, so say, for example, the train gets like significantly delayed, you know, that can sort of, you know, make things a little bit stressful and things like that, you know, particularly if like we were looking forward to going to, you know, trying to make most of our day, make most of our day and things like that, you know, and things like that. And I think, and then makes me think, oh right, I need to reschedule my day and things like that because I might not be able to fit this in. So yeah, so I think, and also, you know, I think that maybe like I do have a tendency to take things literally. So when I think like, oh right, you know, if like, you know, a bus or a train is supposed to be arriving at, say, 8:30, like, you know, I'll think, oh yeah, it's going to arrive at 8:30. You know, if it's like half an hour later, I'm just like thinking, okay, right, okay, yeah, so you start to panic and things like that. Also, standing on public transport can be very uncomfortable as well, particularly when it's like very crowded on public transport as well and things like that. That can make things really uncomfortable and things like that, like particularly for like long amounts of time. I think for short journeys I'm okay and things like that. Say for example, like on the tube, you know, if you're just kind of like going down like a couple of stops and things like that and you've got to get off, and that's all right. But you know, so, say for example, if I was taking the train down to like London or something like that, and then I had to stand the whole way and it takes like about 2.5 hours to get to London, you know, that's a long time to be standing and things like that, and it can be very uncomfortable. Also, I think this is something I've definitely learned, like, you know, I need to give myself time to adapt to new surroundings and things like that. And if I don't give myself enough time to do that, then that can cause me to like have a meltdown and things like that. You know, like, you know, it can cause me to feel very tired, very drained and things like that. I mean, you know, it's something I've definitely learned how to learn. I need to do that, because I think when I get somewhere, like, I'm like, okay, I must like, I want to do like everything like at once and things like that. And it can be, yeah, and I think sometimes I probably do put a lot of pressure on myself to, you know, adapt to new surroundings, but sometimes I'm just like, okay, I do need a bit of time and things like that, you know, to just kind of, yeah, okay, I'm in a new place or an unfamiliar place. Yeah, I just need time to just kind of get used to that and things like that, time to process things. Also, if things get unexpected, so say for example, if I was to go and see like a show or something like that, or it got cancelled or like delayed or whatever and things like that, then again I'll be like, oh my god, okay, well, what do I do with my time and things like that, you know. And again, it just kind of messes with my mind and things like that, you know, it kind of throws me off and things like that. And you know, it could be something I'm like really looking forward to, and then I find, oh right, I can't do that because either I don't have the time or that thing that I want to do, or that attraction's closed for the day for whatever reason, you know, I think it can stress me out there. And also I think it's just kind of getting used to like how different places operate and things like that, and different operating systems, and just kind of being aware of that. And also taking a drink, just taking time to kind of learn that and just be aware of it. And yeah, just see how I can adapt to that. Or, you know, I think that maybe they could have like, you know, maybe like some kind of disability sort of access scheme and things like that, which would be good. And that looks very different in lots of different areas. Say for example, the way that Tokyo Disneyland do their disability access system is very different to the way that Disneyland Paris did their like disability operating system. And I think that Disneyland Paris do it a lot better than Tokyo Disneyland. And yeah, and I think it would just be worth, I wish I kind of knew that, because I think I was just kind of expecting it all to be the same and things like that. So, and then when it found out it wasn't, then it was quite difficult to kind of get used to that.
Yeah, thank you, Rob.
Right.
Thank you for your honesty, because we don't often hear somebody speak in that way so eloquently about where they're at with areas of challenge. And I know for a lot of people listening to this, it will really resonate with them. And, you know, it's very insightful to hear, even if we don't live with those differences, to hear somebody like yourself sharing, this is how we learn and make progress in that way. So on the back of kind of those challenges, you've shared here what can be done, what is being done. But I love that insight that you had, which, you know, unless you've had the experience, you wouldn't know. Disneyland Paris has got very different accessibility levels than Disneyland Tokyo. But you would think it being the same company, there would be a standard, and obviously there isn't. So talk me through what you think should be done, where we're at in terms of where we would like to be moving forward.
Okay, yeah. So at the moment, I think that like I wear my sunflower lanyard like wherever I go, sort of thing, you know, like particularly if I'm going to a new or unfamiliar place and things like that. But I just find that it's recognised at like places like train stations and airports, but I think, and recognised in a lot of places in the UK, but I feel like abroad, I don't really feel like it's as recognised. And I think even like now, I think that like probably not a lot of people are aware of what the sunflower lanyard scheme means. It's like for people with hidden disabilities, so that could be like autism, anxiety, ADHD, but also, you know, physical invisible disabilities as well, and things like that, you know, things that can affect your physical health as well. And something I only learned about a couple of years ago is the Nimbus card scheme. This was from like my sister's partner, and he used to work in a theatre, so he knows about this. And so what the Nimbus card does, it's sort of it's kind of like a disability identification card from what I understand. And what this kind of entitles you to do is, like, you know, you can book like accessible tickets for places like theme parks, theatres, etc. And what you can do is you can book accessible seats at a theatre and things like that, get disability access in UK theme parks and things like that. And it has been really, really helpful. It even saves me a bit of money, you know, like, but yeah. So say, for example, if I wanted like an aisle seat, like at the theatre, I could request that. Yeah, things like that. And, you know, I think it can help, like, you know, so, you know, you can say what things you find difficult, you know, what things you find difficult because of your disability. So, for example, for me, like, I find like standing for long periods of time, queuing, etc., quite difficult. So that can be displayed on the Nimbus card as well, but also a lot of other things and things like that. But like, again, that can range for, it can be used for a range of disabilities and things and whatnot. So that's really helped, and things like that. It's also really helped to like reassure me when I go to the theatre and things like that. I mean, this photo was actually taken last weekend. Like this photo where I saw my neighbour Totoro at London's West End and things like that. It was a really good show. But like, what was great was that, like, you know, theatres can like send you emails of what to expect beforehand, you know, when going into the theatre.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But also what else I've found in this country, at least, not so much in Japan, unfortunately, but having accessible quiet spaces at airports and train stations and things like that. And okay, I've just noticed a typo, but that, yeah, I didn't put train stations, but never mind. So accessible quiet spaces. Yeah, so this is actually really helpful because, you know, it can help me to relax before, say, like a journey at like an airport and things like
Yeah.
that, but it can also help you to get like get on a train or a plane, you know, before anybody else and things like that. I mean, I think that was something I was really impressed with when I did fly to and from Japan and things like that, that, you know, you can just sort of be escorted through the airport or a train station and things like that, you know, to where you need to be and things. Um, you know, providing you've got your sunflower lanyard and things like that, which really, really helps and things. Oh, that kind of brings us to the last point and things like that. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Really
so there you go.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. And it sounds like, you know, I know the Sunflower Lanyard is a great initiative, but as you say, we've still got to get it where it's internationally recognised. But I've not heard of that Nimbus card.
No,
and I'll be checking that out myself. It sounds really insightful and a great initiative to make sure that people, everyone can have a great time at the theatre and attractions and so on, theme
yeah,
parks.
absolutely, yeah.
So again, you're going to share some wisdom about what you think can be improved. Again, I'd love to hear your thoughts then. So what next? On the back of all your adventures, it's give you this ringside seat really in terms of what was great, what was not so great. Where do we head then to try and get it right for our neurodivergent community?
Okay, so I think what can be improved, I think first of all, more awareness. But also I think that like sometimes when I try to book things online, like it's been very confusing and things like that. So I just kind of wish it like it was a bit easier to navigate and access like the booking systems when I'm trying to book like say tickets for theme parks or the theatre or whatever, like online and things like that, because yeah, it can be a bit of a minefield and things like that. But also just have like alternate booking systems as well, because not everybody might be tech savvy and things like that. You know, I know my parents aren't and things like that. And sometimes they're probably blind spots that I have and probably we all have and things like that. And I think that's probably again another challenge I faced in Japan was that it was very like techie, or very reliant, particularly at the park, particularly in theme parks and things like that. A lot of it was reliant on having an online connection and using an app and things like that, and being online and things like that. Um, like, however, there was kind of very limited online connectivity, I found. So, like, it was just very difficult. So, it'd be great to have like offline options to kind of navigate places and things like that, you know, for people who aren't tech savvy and things like that. Of course, increase awareness and of neurodiversity and various disability schemes, because like you say, you've not heard of the Nimbus cards, and that's been really, really helpful when booking like theatre tickets, booking theme park tickets, but also sunflower lanyard scheme and things. Um, but also just kind of like having more accessible information and things like that for different places that people might want to go to, and modes of travel and transport and things like that, including, you know, disability access, where to go for to help with disability access, where do you go, like in an airport, to get that accessibility needs that you need and things like that and whatnot. And whatnot, and also just to have like some more safe and quiet spaces that are accessible in public places and attractions and things like that. So, say for example, when I was in Japan and things like that, there wasn't that many like quiet spaces, and the quiet spaces I did find, you had to go through some really noisy and crowded places and things like that. They were blaring music and things like that, which was not ideal. So having some places where people feel safe, relaxed, and calm really would be really ideal and things. And yeah, it'd be great if, like, you know, the sunflower lanyard scheme or other equivalent schemes can be more widely recognized internationally. So for example, if there was like say an equivalent, a Japanese equivalent and things like that, you know, maybe a sakura lanyard or something like that, a blossom lanyard or something like that, like, you know, that would be ideal and things, like for like disability people with hidden disabilities and things like that. Or just to be aware of like those schemes in different countries, I think would be ideal and things. But and also just sort of not assume that every disabled or neurodivergent person has the same accessibility needs. So say for example, as an autistic person, the way my autism affects me might not be the same as how another autistic person affects them, things like that sort of thing. So yeah, like we're all different and things like that. We all have a different strengths. We all have a different the things that we need help with and things. So yeah, so I think it's just being mindful of all that really and things, and I know it's a long list, but
Oh, it's so insightful, it really is. And I feel like you've uncovered something here that we don't talk a lot about.
mm,
And it's really, yeah, it's really important, and it's really wise words I think you're sharing here,
mhm,
Rob, about what would help really us all,
yeah,
not just the autistic community, but the broader neurodivergent and disabled community as
mhm,
well. Talk me through what helps you then, because I think when people like yourself share, people see themselves in each other, don't we? We see
yeah.
ourselves in each other, and when we like to share about ourselves, I think it does definitely support others as well.
Mhm. Okay, great. Yeah, like so. Yeah, some things that might personally help me, like well, some things that do personally help me that might also help other people, but may or may not. I like sort of having a bit of a plan and things like that. I think put rough plan there, like because I think if you plan everything to a letter, I think and you might not have room for flexibility there. But like, so just having a bit of a rough plan of what to do each day, whether that's on a holiday or say if I'm on a day trip somewhere, like having a bit of a rough plan of where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, etc. sort of thing. Um, like I said earlier, I think that I do need time to adapt to new surroundings and things like that. So, just spend like, a few minutes or whatever, like just sort of just transitioning, processing the new surroundings or unfamiliar surroundings I have. Um, I think it's very important to take your time and not overextend myself. I mean, I think that's definitely something I've had to learn how to do because, again, I'm somebody who, when I get somewhere new, I just want to like do everything and things like that, and that can easily cause like overwhelm, burnout, meltdowns, etc. sort of thing if I do that. Um, if I do need extra assistance or help, like I think it's a bit of a comfort, I think, for me to have my sunflower lanyard with me and proof of disability, so that if I did need that extra help and support, I could try and communicate that. It's a way of me communicating that I might need a bit of extra help and support and things like that. Um, I always take like noise cancelling headphones with me wherever I go in case, there might be any noisy or crowded places or sudden noises sort of things. To say if like I'm walking along a road even like that has a lot of traffic and then everyone's beeping the horns, that can really sort of be quite overwhelming for me and things like that. Um, Making sure that I have plenty of food and drink with me, staying hydrated and things like that, hence the water here. But also just having like a few snacks with me so I don't like starve really and things like that. That really helps. Having a few comfort items with me. So I think for me, like one thing that does give me comfort is my phone and things like that. Like I think that's I think it's just something that just helps me to relax really and things. Having my phone with me. And it may not always be possible, but like having a travel buddy with me always helps and things like that. Um, so this could be a close friend who I trust, a family member, preferably a confident traveler. Like I would say out of everybody I know, I'm probably one of the more confident travelers. I think it's probably only like probably my sister who's probably more confident in traveling than I am. I mean, she works on a cruise ship. I mean, that's another story. She's been all over the world, but that's another story. That's her story to share. But because yeah, we could go on a lot about that. But yeah, but having somebody to just help support me, and if needed, I can support them as well, and things like that. Just having somebody like that really does help me. Okay.
Again, a really useful, insightful notes here, Rob. I think you've covered everything from something very personal, which might help planning through to then, having people with you and what technology and so on can help. So again, thank you. It's really useful to hear you talk like that. Which brings me on to the thank you slide. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much for thanks for inviting me.
Well, it's our absolute pleasure. Your company is called RS Rob Star Videography. You're a superstar, Rob. Never mind Rob Star. It's brilliant.
Thanks.
If folks want to reach out and find out more, they can reach out to you on these contact details here. I know that you've got your email address. I know that you're welcoming folks to reach out and share thoughts and so on.
Absolutely.
Is that the case? You're happy for people to connect?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Happy to talk all things friendly and neurodivergent and things and filmmaking and things like that and travel and things like that and inclusive travel. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
and you're open for business with your movie making as well. So if folks want to hire you to do some videos and so on, you're there for them, I'm guessing.
Yes, please do. I always love connecting with people and things like that. So and hopefully I do come across as a friendly filmmaker and things like that here, sort of thing. I do my best to. So there you go.
Definitely do. And as we start to round up the session, I can see that Kay and Sue have been listening and have kind of put their cameras back on. Kay and Sue, any thoughts or questions that you want to share with Rob before we round up our conversation?
I made so many notes, Rob.
Oh, okay.
When you were talking, I've got so many questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Have we got all night? Probably not. I think the main thing for me is when you were talking about the travel and you were talking about your experiences of travel, it really resonated with me because of my daughter. And you said something about trying to enjoy a holiday, and I know she really wants to try and enjoy a holiday, but all of these other anxieties kind of build up, and you've given some really good insights in terms of what to do and how to plan. But I was just wondering, and I'm thinking about her, and obviously I won't say her name, but for her the anxiety is the thought. It's like the build up of the thought of what's going to happen. Have you got any sort of words of wisdom?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's so I think so correct me if I'm wrong, Kay.
It's fine.
Right. So it sounds like you say, your daughter is interested in the concept of it, but at the same time I think she likes her own comforts and things like that and whatnot and things like that. I think I remember when I was little and things like that, even though it wasn't necessarily the most practical thing.
She's not little, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Just saying that. No, sorry. She's 21 this year, so she's not little.
Right. Oh,
yes.
right. I
yes.
beg your pardon.
No,
I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think I think what helps me, kind of overcome that anxiety. I think again, if I can have as many comfort items, or just sort of researching as much as humanly possible. So say for example, actually when I was your daughter's age, I went to Walt Disney World and things with my family, and that was great. I mean, I think it was very stressful when we first got there, but it was a great holiday. I think for me, I think that's probably when I learned, I do need time to transition and things like that, but also just sort of, I think for me it is sort of having those comfort items with me and things as well, sort of thing, whether or not it's in hand luggage and things like that. Something actually my dad brought with him to Japan when we went was this calming spray. I can't remember the name of it, but or was it Rescue Remedy or something like that? But the daytime stuff.
Oh, sorry, we should be like the BBC, shouldn't we, Donna? And other things are probably available. But I think you're talking about the Bax Rescue Remedy.
Yes. That's it. Yeah, like my dad used that, and I think I had to use it a few times, and I think that did help and things for me anyway, personally. I mean, it might be different for your daughter, but I think also just kind of doing as much research as humanly possible, I think, about a place and things like that. I mean, of course, that's kind of what I think that's kind of what I've done for like every single holiday, and I think it kind of brings a peace of mind, but I think also makes the holidays a bit more sort of exciting and things like that and whatnot, or the concept of going somewhere a lot more exciting and things.
Yeah,
I hope that helps, just off the top of my head.
No, thank you for that, Donna. I'm really sorry. I've got so many questions.
Go for it, Kay.
I just have one more. Sorry, Sue. Okay. I have one more question. I've worked with I was going to say a young person, but she's a young adult, and I've mentored her for many years, and she would describe herself as a Disney adult. Okay.
Yes.
So I met her this week, and she's just come back from Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, and it might not be a great question, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Who's your favourite Disney character? I see you. Is it Simba in the background on
that's just my calendar. That's just kind of the picture of the month, really. That'll change.
Sorry, I just saw it. Yeah.
No. I mean, Lion King is one of my favorite Disney movies.
She loves the Lion King. Yeah.
I think a character that has meant a lot to me though is Peter Pan. I'm going to say that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I do like the fact that I think I'm basically a big kid. I'm a big kid at heart.
I love
really.
Peter
I don't think I'll ever grow up and things. So and things like that. But yeah, I definitely would say that. But also but there's so many to choose from. But that's just the one that kind of springs to mind, particularly in recent years and things.
Thank you for that. I'm definitely, when you put the recording out, Donna, I'm definitely sending this across to her, because she will absolutely love to hear about Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah,
she'll love it.
Oh, I could talk about that all day, honestly.
And
things like that.
Yeah, absolutely magical. And I think that's probably one of the best questions I've ever heard, Kay, ever. What is your favourite Disney character? Because now I'm thinking, okay, who is mine? And I'm going to have a ponder of that. So brilliant. Thank you, Kay. It's always
sorry, I hijacked that. I apologize.
No, you didn't hijack it. It's really interesting.
Oh, it's honestly, I'll talk all things Disney. Honestly, I think
I do another separate webinar just about Disney.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Oh, absolute passion. Sue, any thoughts or questions on the back of this? I mean, you've been in the space, supporting the community for many years now. Do you get lots of folks reaching out to you asking about travel and so on? I feel like this is the thing that we don't speak a lot about, but actually it's a massive issue.
First of all, though, I have to say about Disney. I mean, I didn't want anything to do with Disney, but I was dragged there for my honeymoon, and I wouldn't leave. I was just supposed to go for one day, and I had to stay there for the 2 weeks. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't think that I'm autistic, but I didn't think I was. Now I'm beginning to think I am. Perhaps you'll tell me, Donna, that I am. I have some characteristics, but this travel thing, I would always be embarrassed about it. I didn't know it was a characteristic of neurodiversity. I just get lost, arrive late for interviews, for funerals, go out of a tube station, walk in the wrong direction. But I'd have been embarrassed to wear a lanyard. And I think we need more awareness about this. And this Nimbus thing really interests me. I think this is a whole new subject area. And I was pleased that Chris Packham touched on it. And I don't know if you saw that programme Inside Our Dyslexic Minds, but obviously dyslexic people do have this problem. And I know I'm that. And it's just really, really, it causes terrible anxiety for me, and I'm sure it does for many other people, and panic attacks and just missing planes, getting on the wrong plane even, and the wrong trains ending up in Scotland instead of London. And, my employers would never believe it, but it happens. And yeah, I think I might have a nightmare tonight, Robert. Thank you so much for highlighting it, and we need to do more on it, I think. Yeah, I loved your strategies, and I think we need to publish them. And perhaps you can talk sometime to one of our support groups, because I'm sure there must be many others. I have one particular friend who always arranged to meet me when we travel abroad, and I thought, why did she do that? Did she think I'm not capable of getting there on my own? And I'm just not, which is lovely of her. She has an insight. So, yeah, Thank you, Robert.
No, it's absolutely.
Thank you for
I'd be
being
more
so
than happy
honoured.
to share my insights to other people if you need me to, and things like
It's
that.
scary.
Yeah,
It's so
thank you,
scary.
Rob. It is. I think this is a really interesting conversation, and especially, we're recording this, aren't we, during the summer months, and this is a time when people are thinking about holidays and travel and so on.
Every day,
But as you
every
say,
day, Donna.
Sue, it's beyond holidays. It's traveling to work, traveling, to a
Every
meeting
day.
or what have you. Yeah, that's right. It is every day.
Yeah.
So that just leaves me to say a huge thank you to everybody who is listening to this. As always, we finish on this slide, which are the contact details for our coalition members. Every coalition member has almost a different area of strength, and that's what makes us strong together. Yes, we work in very similar ways, but we've each got, different expertise, different passions maybe. So who have we got here? So we start with the Adult Dyslexia Centre's helpline. There is their number, their email address. That's the family that Sue is part of. We have the Yorkshire Rose Dyslexia Association helpline number and their email address. As I said earlier, we don't have Pat with us this evening, but do check out that festival as well on the 5th of July. We've got Hampshire's email address here, so reach out to them if you're in that part of the world, want more support about anything connected to your neurodiversity. Maybe it's travel, we've listened to a lot of that this evening. You want to reach out. We've also got Kay's local association in Nottingham, the Dyslexia Association. We've got their helpline, email address. If you want to book a call, please reach out. I think folks can book that on the website as well, Kay, isn't it? Beyond the email. Perfect. So reach out, they can get a call back. Or maybe you just want to do it on email. It's fine. There's lots of different options to communicate. Succeed with Dyslexia, very much valued part of the family. They don't have a helpline in those ways. What they do have are lots of great free videos talking about lots of issues. Please go and check that out. Neurobox is part of the family as well. Lots of work supporting professionals within work settings through training and coaching, accessibility issues. We've got the hello at email address. And again, have a look at the website. Lots of free support there, as well as paid for services. And then last but not least, we've got the Helen Arkell Dyslexia Charity. As I said at the top of the session, they work with families, predominantly with children, and for people in the community who are maybe having a tough time as well. They have a bursary fund. They do a lot to support the community for free. So they've got an inquiries at email address, and their website's a great place to go if you want to find out more. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your company. A huge thank you again to Rob. So yes, reach out to Rob if you're interested in his services as a videographer. You've seen he's super talented, but also to talk in this insightful way about his lived experience as well. I know he's happy to do that. So thank you, Rob. More power to you.
Thank you very much, Donna, for having me.
Our absolute pleasure. You're a superstar. And we will see you next time around for what we hope is going to be another great conversation. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we enjoyed this, and I hope other people find it insightful too. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Kay. We stopped recording.